let's jump right in. So you've got two different Lions storylines for you to comment on. Let me give you my spin on both. Report today, New York Daily News has written about it. A number of outlets have reported this, that Matt Patricia reportedly favors the Giants' job over the Lions. Now, if you go back and you're a listener of this show, we kind of did this job ranking thing last week, and I told you in no uncertain terms, the Giants have a better job than you. You have a good job. I think the Giants is a great job. You have a good opportunity. I think Giants have a great opportunity. I've also told you, please don't get married to coaching candidates. Don't put all your hopes into a guy. You know my theory on the NFL and head coaching. It's a crapshoot. You don't know who's going to be a good coach and not. You've seen proven guys fail. You've seen inexperienced guys fail. You've seen guys you know bomb. You've seen guys you have no clue who they are turn into Super Bowl coaches. I don't think it's a healthy endeavor to fall in love with a candidate when you don't know anything about him. You're not in on the interviews. You don't know what they're going to do here. So whether you got Patricia or not, I'm not going to go crazy. Now, do I think many of you bought into the theory of New England coordinator because Bob Quinn is GM? Sure you did. I think the thing you should probably value in all of this is that you're not getting your number one choice. Now, on that end, it's okay to talk about it. I think it's more than fair to suggest that Patricia's your first choice. He had the job here, and he prefers other jobs. Now, it's never a good thing not to get your first choice, but it doesn't mean that what you get is going to be bad. Okay, I want to start out by saying that. I know Doug has talked about a theory about Mike Vrabel and JBC sticking around. Well, story number 2 today, we'll get to that. I mean, I don't know if you like or hate Mike Vrabel. I don't know if your confidence level is there. He's been a coordinator for 1 year. I'm not getting involved with it. I don't have an opinion on Mike Vrabel. I don't know enough about Mike Vrabel. And you say, well, he's only been a coordinator for 1 year. Well, Sean McVay wasn't a coordinator ever. He was a quarterback guy, quarterback helper. A year later, he's the youngest head coach in the NFL, and he took the Rams to the playoffs. So again, be very careful when you pick up the phone and you call your favorite radio show and you're going to knock the guy for not having experience. Or you're going to knock the guy for being a defensive coach, but you want offense. I learned a long time ago, it's not worth it because there are no predictive measures to determine a successful head coach in the NFL. There just aren't. Did I think you'd get your first choice? No. I mean, I think you have one of the better job openings, but I think it's still one of the worst jobs in the league, if that makes sense. The opportunity in the here and now to coach Matthew Stafford, it's rare. Having a quarterback is rare when you have a job opportunity. But when I take you out of the here and now and I go, okay, I give you Stafford, I give you this roster. If I look at the big picture around the league, this is a bottom 5 job. It's a bad franchise. It's bad ownership that now is simply questionable because we don't know enough about Martha. There's not enough a long enough track record, if you will. And there's an unproven general manager. I think Stafford alone elevates this to being, in the short term, one of the better jobs. But if we step away from it and look about, okay, 1 through 32, where is this job? It's not very high. And you need to remember that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't find a good guy. The St. Louis/Los Angeles Rams, that's not a good job either. But they found a great coach. So I wouldn't get too bummed out about it. You're welcome to dial in. I'd love to talk about it with you. I could throw the number out, 248-539-9797. Do I think Patricia's interesting? Of course I do. Do I know some things about the guy, and do I think I have an idea what he would be? I guess. But even if he takes the Giants job, my team, I'm not going to go over the moon for it. I'm not going to go crazy. I don't know whether he'll end up being a great head coach or not. So that's issue number 1 with the Lions. Issue number 2, and I think it's a very, very nice job by Dave Burkett, best in the biz, the bib. Look, it's pretty simple. No matter who your head coach is, you're probably going to have Jim Bob Cooter as the offensive coordinator. Now, that I have a major problem with. I have a huge problem with it. And look, there's just an element of minor league about it. Burkett said all signs point to JBC as OC. No matter the hire in Detroit, conversation with people across the league, people believe the Lions will hire a defensive coach who keeps Cooter as offensive coordinator. Let me be very simple. This sucks, but it's the most Lions-esque thing ever. You fire your general manager, but you keep your head coach when the new guy is hired. You fire your head coach, but you keep your offensive coordinator when the new guy is hired. It doesn't work that way. And I don't care whether you hire a defensive-minded coach. The importance here is that the new guy brings his philosophies to the table. You'll say Mike Vrabel's a defensive-minded coach, a former linebacker. I'm sorry, does that mean he is bereft of offensive thought? That a man who has spent his life playing defense to stop offenses and coaching linebackers and then being a defensive coordinator, a man whose life has been dedicated to studying offenses and what works and what doesn't, do you mean to tell me with a straight face that man doesn't have opinions on offensive philosophy? That man doesn't have schemes that he believes in more than others? The odds that his beliefs align with Jim Bob Cooter's to a point of absolute synergy are infinitesimal. All right? It's just not reality. I hate the idea that you will keep Jim Bob Cooter here. I don't care about what he's viewed at around the league. I don't care if Matthew Stafford likes him. I don't care if the Fords like him. When I hire a new head coach, everybody goes. I bring in an entire new staff. I want my coach to have an offensive philosophy and a defensive philosophy and to employ people who will then make that vision a reality. You will never sell me that Mike Vrabel thinks Jim Bob Cooter's the perfect candidate. And if Mike Vrabel, as a head coach, has so little interest in the offense, has so little conviction towards what schemes he will run, that he will simply accept the guy who's here because, well, it could be worse, well, then you failed before you've ever begun. That is something I have a strong opinion on. Whether Vrabel's a good coach or not, we don't know. But when you walk in and inherit an offensive coordinator, I'm telling you, you're already starting out with 2 strikes. Now, Jim Bob Cooter stays, the offensive line coach goes. Jim Bob Cooter is a passing game guy, right? We all agree with that? The passing game has worked. If you ask me, Jim Bob Cooter can't draw up a running play that works to save his life. I think the problem's more schematically than it is personnel. So now you got to go and hire a big-time O-line, run game coordinator type guy. So Mike Vrabel's going to take this job, hypothetically. Let's say the new head coach, his name is Johnny Cucumber. I don't care who it is. It's David Hull. It's Sully Peloton. It doesn't matter who it is. No matter who you bring in, you mean to tell me you're going to have the offensive coordinator who's only half a coordinator because he can't figure out the running game, that guy stays above having the guy come in and lay out his point-by-point plan of his offensive philosophies and defensive philosophies? How does that sound like a recipe for success? The answer is it doesn't. And I'm not for a second suggesting there's an edict, because I know Burkett hasn't suggested that. But I'm telling you, this isn't what winning organizations do. It's just not. I don't care. You want to hire Lou Bega as your next head coach. You want to hire Mr. Worldwide Pitbull. I don't care. Fine. But I'm letting him name their OC in D.C.